Life's a beach. OG Loke tasks CJ with heading down to the beach to obtain a sound van. We have to complete a dancing minigame, which can take quite a while and be quite frustrating, especially considering some of the buttons are completely unresponsive. Well, luckily the hack for this mission is that in the generalized area you should be able to find some Grove Street homies, who you can then recruit as gang members while on this mission. And then once you approach the sound van and press enter, the homie will still be able to access the vehicle. As soon as the homie is entering the vehicle, you can cancel the gang, leading to the homie ending up getting into the driver's seat, where you can then shoot him and take the van without completing the minigame, saving a couple of minutes of your precious time. Our next mission hack can be found in Robbing Uncle Sam, where CJ and Ryder hear about some arms crates being delivered down at the docks. So, of course, they head over there in order to steal them to use them for weapons for Grove Street. Now, there's actually two hacks this mission has to offer. In order to complete this mission, you need to use a forklift in order to lift the crates and put them in the back of the truck. However, you're actually able to pick up 2 crates at once, saving you half the time. It may seem obvious, but it's something that many speedrunners also do in the game. However, the second hack for this mission actually comes at the end. Once you've obtained enough crates, you can destroy the remaining crates, and it will actually reveal some pretty cool weapons, some of which are quite hard to come by early on in the game, like grenades. This particular mission hack saves you a decent amount of time, and it takes place during the mission Grey Imports. They task you with heading down to these warehouses here, where you need to take out a Russian's arm dealer. Now, the original version of the mission, the way you're supposed to do it is walk your way through the warehouse, fighting your way through the waves of enemies, until you reach the arms dealer, who inevitably will run away. So he eventually reaches his vehicle, and you're tasked with chasing him down. But the mission doesn't have to be this difficult, as the quickest way to do it is actually to find a motorcycle and actually drive your way through the warehouse. And then you're able to actually easily catch up to him and take him out before he even reaches his vehicle. You can tell they didn't plan for us to do this, as all the NPCs just completely despawn into thin air and disappear. During the mission management issues, OG Loke tasks CJ with obtaining a vehicle for a bodyguard to then attend a celebrity red carpet meeting in order to assassinate a target. Now, usually in this mission, once the target has entered the vehicle, you're tasked with driving to the pier all the way down at the ocean in order to then bail out of the vehicle and assassinate the target. However, the conditions aren't quite as strict as that. As long as you drive into any body of water, then the game will still recognize as the task being complete. So as you can see here, there's a few different locations where you can actually do this and fulfill the objective earlier than expected, completing the mission up to a minute earlier than usual. The proper way of completing Snail Trail can be incredibly infuriating. Essentially, CJ is tasked with chasing down a train all the way from San Fierro to Los Santos in order to assassinate 2 targets. However, when the mission starts, what you can do is grab the dirt bike and the sniper rifle, drive over to the train station and bail off the motorcycle, and if you time it just right, you can actually enter the train for around a second time frame as it comes to a stop. This will then allow you to skip the journey completely and arrive in Los Santos in a matter of seconds. From there, you can head up to the street and obtain a vehicle where the rest of the mission can resume. The mission is already quite tedious even with this skip, but completing this mission the proper way by actually chasing the train all the way to Los Santos is incredibly boring. So this is definitely a 10 out of 10 mission hack. During the mission Ice Cold Killer, there's actually a secret ending to this mission. So the way you want to do this secret ending is that as soon as the mission begins and you head to Jizzy's palace, you want to take his Broadway vehicle here and drive it on into the ocean. Once you've driven the vehicle into the ocean, you can resume the mission as expected. Oh, and by the way, you can jump down here to completely skip the rooftop part. Once you've cleared out all the enemies and head back outside, rather than him escaping via vehicle, he will actually run to a pizza boy and steal that instead. So yes, you still technically have to chase him down, but this makes it 10 times easier to knock him off and actually take him out. Pier 69 is a rather interesting mission. This is the mission where CJ and Caesar take out T-Bone and Ryder. Now at the end of the mission, once T-Bone has been taken out, of course, as you know, Ryder attempts to jump the railings and escape via speedboat. The usual way of completing this mission then basically requires you to chase down Ryder in the boat, and shoot at him until the vehicle is destroyed, which can take quite a while in order to actually do. However, the sniper rifle the game gives you is still within your possession even after the rooftop segment has been completed, meaning you can simply just snipe Ryder out of the water and just complete the mission standing right here without ever going into the water, which can save a couple of minutes of your precious time. During the mission Torino's last flight, this can be extremely infuriating to try and shoot down the helicopter. For some reason, the hitbox on it seems to be a lot more complicated than usual helicopters in the game, resulting in, well, what you're seeing here, pretty much me failing to shoot it down. But there is an easier way to complete this mission. Before the mission even begins, or during the mission, whichever way round you want to do it, you can head down to San Fierro Airport. Once you're in the airport, if you head over to this location I'm showing you here, you will find a heat-seeking rocket launcher, which then can be used to take out the helicopter much easier. Now, as soon as you hit the trigger point for the helicopter taking off with Torino on board, allegedly, you can then lock onto it and shoot it out the sky in a matter of seconds, without even needing to pursue it with a vehicle at all. But you're going to want to hold on to this heat-seeking rocket launcher for another mission coming up shortly. High Noon is one of my favourite missions in San Andreas. It's a huge turning point where you finally get revenge on a character that you've hated for a long time during the game. However, it is quite a tough mission. When it begins, obviously Officer Pulaski escapes in a vehicle and you're tasked with chasing him down and trying to stop him. However, if you do manage to successfully stop him, he will probably get out and try and fight you with his Desert Eagle, which is extremely powerful and can kill you in one hit, as I'm showing you here. However, when the mission starts, if you run straight to his vehicle and push it out of its course of direction, you can then enter the vehicle while holding the sprint button or the horn button, and upon doing that, he will instantly die there on the spot, without any pursuit necessary. It's a pretty interesting glitch, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on behind the scenes in the coding that causes this to happen, but it makes this mission so much easier. However, it can be really tricky to time it correctly. So I mentioned that heat-seeking rocket launcher you're going to need again, and that comes round to the mission Interdiction. However, if you don't have a heat-seeking rocket launcher, don't worry, I'm going to show you how to get one. This is the mission where Mike Torino tasks you with putting down a flare and obtaining an airdrop from a cargo bob. However, before they're able to actually drop the goods, some backup helicopters arrive, and you're then tasked with using, in the original version of the mission, a normal rocket launcher to try and shoot down these helicopters. Some of these helicopters are flying extremely fast and they're really difficult to shoot down. I'm not sure what was going on behind the scenes, but there seems to be some sort of coding issue. Anyway, it makes it really tough. However, there is a location in the desert within the nearby vicinity a couple of miles away, as you can see here in Tierra Rabada, where you can find a ghost city or a ghost town where a heat-seeking rocket launcher can be found if you still don't have the one from earlier. Now, this makes this mission so much easier. You pretty much only need to use one rocket per helicopter, rather than just spraying and praying and hoping you're going to hit them with the original rocket launcher. Just take a look at this footage here, and the missiles pretty much don't miss ever, so it makes this mission so much easier. The mission cutthroat business is quite a fun one, but there's a few ways that you can break this mission and complete it a lot quicker than Rockstar ever intended. First of all, when the mission begins, you're tasked with taking Mad Dog to the location of a music video being filmed by OG Loke. If you take the road to the right out of the mansion, you'll eventually reach this bridge here. What you want to do is drive towards these trees at full speed and essentially hang right at the very end there and plummet all the way down into the water. And what you'll notice is that it instantly triggers the cutscene, which then will lead to this chase here where you're driving the Vortex hovercrafts. The hovercrafts aren't the quickest way of chasing down OG Loke. As it turns out, there's some news vans located nearby, which once you compare them side by side, it's the quickest way to chase down OG Loke. In fact, the game never intended for you to be able to actually do this, and in order to make sure the mission doesn't fail, you need to stay pretty close to the shoreline. But if you pull it off, you can actually save 20 to 30 seconds on the mission than if you were using the Vortex. Wrong Side of the Tracks is probably the most infamous mission that's given people a lot of difficulty in GTA San Andreas. It's not the hardest mission by far, but it's definitely not the easiest either. There's actually a few ways you can complete this mission a lot easier, and they all revolve around the same strategy. What you really want to do to complete this mission the easiest way is follow where I'm going here and head up on top of this rooftop. Now, the easy way is to jump on foot onto the roof of the train and shoot the enemies on foot, then jump off and head back to Big Smoke. However, if you're feeling adventurous, what you're able to do is just about time driving the Sanchez onto the roof of the train and use the drive-by mechanic instead to take the enemies out, saving a little bit more time because you already have Big Smoke with you. They're pretty inventive ways to complete the mission, but it's not really that easy of a strategy, and it definitely requires some good timing to get it right.